Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. This is our Redtail CRM 30-minute quick start. What we're going to start with is just a few basics of how the CRM is set up. So what I first want to point out is our top right icons. Those are going to be located in the top right, just right over here, and you'll see we start with our quick add icon. So anytime you want to add something to the database, all you're going to have to do is just click on the plus sign, the quick add. Once you actually click on the quick add, it's going to give you options of what you want to add. So if you want to add an activity, a brand new contact record, documents, notes, and also seminars, opportunities, and workflows. These are all different things in the database that you can add directly to your CRM. What's great about the top right icons is those are always going to be at the top of your screen no matter what. So it doesn't matter where I'm at in the CRM. If I need to add something, I'm just going to go to the top right hand corner and click on the plus sign. Next to that is we have our integrations icon. When I click that, it's going to show me the available integrations that are set up for my database. And so you may see that you might be missing some or have extra ones here, but you can control this information by going over to your name in the top right-hand corner and then choosing Manage Your Integrations. That will take you to a page where you can turn on and off all of the integrations that you want to be able to use and learn more information about each of those integrations. Next to the integrations icon is we have our recently viewed. When I click on this little person icon, it's going to show me the last 15 contact records that I've been in the database. And so instead of having to go over to the left-hand side in the search context box and type in the name, let's say Jones, we'll type in last name Jones, and we'll search for Henry Jones and click on him here. All you have to do is go into the top right, choose recently viewed, and then I can click Henry Jones because I've recently been in his contact record. That same icon for finding the last 15 contact records you've been in is also how you have access to your quick lists and your tag groups. The quick lists themselves are going to be saved searches, and we will make sure and go through that information and how you create these lists. Next to the recently viewed icon, we have the alerts. So the alerts is tied directly to the calendar. So anytime that you have an activity on your calendar that's coming up within the next 30 minutes, you will get a little number that appears right in the top of this icon, and it'll actually give you an alert sound if you want. But right now you'll see that we're all caught up and there's no alerts coming up in the next 30 minutes. And those are specifically for timed activities on your calendar. So anything that's scheduled. So for instance, if I have something scheduled at 11:30, then at 11 o'clock, I'm going to get a notification saying I have something scheduled. Then the last icon up here is going to be our question mark, the help icon. When I click on that, it gives me a lot more options of things that I can go and look for. So if you need to find information on how to contact us, so you can see that we are open from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time every Monday through Friday, and also our Google form if you want to talk to other Redtail users. The best part about this is our Redtail help desk. So if I click on this, it'll actually take me to another site where all of our documentation that's inside of Redtail and how to use Redtail is located. You can see you can either go to training sessions to find videos, or you can click on the project tailback icon to find actual documentations about the current version of the CRM. Also, you'll find there's ways for remote tech support. You can submit a help ticket about the system directly from here. You can even suggest a feature enhancement. This will take you to another site where you can make suggestions to us. If you want to know about any updates that we've recently done, you can always click on release notes, and this will show you every single update, and it'll tell you the date when it happened. And then also sign up for our newsletter, and we also have a program called Retriever that syncs with your Outlook program. Next to that, we have your name, and when you click on that, you'll see there's a few more options. Now, the first one I want to talk about here is going to be preferences. So after clicking on my name, I'm going to choose the first option of preferences, and this is where I get to control certain information in my database. Now, the preferences section is specific to the user that you're logged in as. So if I make any changes here, it's only affecting the things that I see and not the things the other users in my database see as well. So for instance, under general options, I can choose the default login screen. So what's the page that I want to go to when I first log in? So if I do want to go to the calendar, I can make it such, or I can keep it on the today page where it defaults to. Another big thing is you want to make sure and set your time zone. So when you first log in, if you are in Pacific time, you can keep it as it is, or you can choose your time zone from here. Anytime you make a change in this preferences section, you're going to want to go up to and choose Save Preferences, the big green button in the top right. If I leave this page without hitting that button, none of my changes are going to be made. Below that, we have Activity Management. This all has to do with specifically when I click and look on the calendar from my left-hand side over here. So this is how I want to see the calendar, as either a day, week, or month view. When do I want my start and end times to be? The default time slots themselves, either 15 to 60 minutes. And then certain things that I want to show on or off the calendar. Just to let you know, once you choose these defaults, it does not mean that you are stuck with these defaults. You can turn these on or off once you're on the calendar page. The default means just what it's going to be set to when you first go to the calendar. Below that, we have the contact record preferences, so you can choose what you want to see on the contact when first going to them. So if you want to see their social security number or if you want it hidden, you can choose. Or you can see how many notes per page on the client notes page itself. Below that, we have our notification options. So in regards to receiving notifications about activity assignments, or if somebody completes or updates an activity you're assigned to, even with workflow task assignees. So if you're assigned to a workflow task and you want certain updates about those, you can get information from an email as well. The last thing under here is the alert sound. Now this is tied directly to our alert icon in the top right hand corner. So when an alert pops up, you can choose if you want a sound, if you want a default, or because Redtail is a dog-friendly company, we have large dog and small dog barks. Below that is we have our dashboard reminders. So these are where you can set preferences on how far in advance or how far back you want to see certain reminders that show on the main Today page. So from here, I can see that I'm looking at birthdays and anniversaries 30 days in advance and 7 days past due. Below that, I also have client review reminders 15 days in advance and 60 days past due. So you can choose whatever variation that you want. So if I actually want to look at my client reviews 2 months ahead of time and maybe just 30 days back, I can choose that and then save my preferences up here. Underneath that, you will see that we have an email section. So in Redtail, you do have the ability to send emails out of Redtail, but it's not like an email client like Outlook where it will receive emails in. The first option here where it talks about email client and either gives you use external or use internal. This is specifically referring to when you click on an individual email address inside the Redtail system. If it's set to use external, then it will open up your default mail client on your computer. So if you use Outlook, it'll automatically open up Outlook with that email address filled out and ready to send an email. If you choose use internal, then it'll stay inside of Redtail and you can use our product to send email out to your clients. Now, if you do choose to use the internal, what you'll want to do is then set up everything below here, where you choose your email display name, you can set up your signature, and the most important part is going to be the SMTP server settings. So SMTP stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, but we always like to say the easiest way to remember it is send mail to people. So it's outgoing information about your server. So even though it's being sent out of Redtail, it still has to direct through your own email host server so everything stays compliant. So if you contact your email host, they would be able to provide you with the SMTP server settings so you can fill that information out here. And then further down on our preferences is we have our reports. So anytime you run a report as a PDF with account information, if you need a certain disclosure statement put, you can actually have it here and type it in so you don't have to type it in each time. And you can either choose for it to print on a separate page or not. And then lastly is our miscellaneous, where you can control the market watch list of certain symbols that you want to keep track of. And then also for bulk operations. So the bulk operations mean when you make large changes to groups of contacts. So if you want it to run in the background after a certain amount, so if it's over 200 or maybe over 500, it'll run in the background. And again, all these preferences are specific to the user that you're logged in as. Next, I want to talk about the left-hand side over here is our left navigation menu. So this is always going to be on the side of your screen, unless you happen to zoom in. And so what I'm going to do is zoom in on my browser. And so I'm zooming in one more time, and you're going to notice that left navigation menu just disappeared. So if it ever does not show, all you have to do is click on the icon in the top left, and you can bring it back. The reason it does that is Redtail is responsive to the size of your screen. So if you're using different size screens, it's going to change the look of Redtail just slightly. But I want to point out that you always have access to that left navigation menu. So all this does is give you to the different main parts of Redtail, like the Today page is where we started on. And from here, you'll see that I can have the Today. So things to do today is going to be items that are scheduled for today itself. So these are things on my calendar that need to get done. Below that is I have workflow tasks due today as well. I also have today's birthdays are showing and today's reviews. Reviews are going to be the actual reminder date. Other reminders are going to be shown up here on the top. You'll see these 4 icons, and I have 53 reminders currently. If I click on that, it'll take me to a separate reminders page, still on this main dashboard, but you'll notice I can see the birthdays. So again, when we changed our preferences, this is looking 30 days in advance and 7 days past due. I can come over here to the filter and I can choose to show different reminders. So if I want to see client review reminders, I can see that information as well. To get back to the Today page, I can either click on Today on the left-hand side or Today right above. So these tabs up here can take me to different sections of the main landing page. It always defaults to Today, but if I want to go over to my activities, it's going to show me list views of my activities. And I can actually control the filters from here as well. So right now I'm looking at past due and next 7 days over here, and you see that these are the activities assigned to Tabitha. So if I want to see mine, I can change it to me, and I can even filter it by clicking filter dates and choose one of these options here. So either past due next 7 days, I have past due 6 months, a few other options from here. I can even do a custom range. So if I want to see it just for like maybe a whole year or maybe just half a month, however you want, you can control that this list view is going to show you the information on the calendar you're wanting to see. I can also come up to contacts, and this will show me a few different graphs. You'll notice I can see my contacts by status, category, source. Below that, I can even do contacts by gender and age distribution as well, so I can see what the variety of my contacts are. What I do want to point out is that contacts by status and category and source are all customizable fields that you get to control. So to further set up your database, what you can do is go back to your name in the top right-hand corner, and then choose Manage Your Account. Once I'm on the Manage Your Account page, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and you're going to notice it says Admins Only. Now, I only have access to this because my username has admin access, and I will show you where you can set that information up as well. But first off, let's talk about Manage Database Lists. So if you want to customize the different lists that are showing in Redtail, you'll go to this page, then over on the right, it says Manage Lists, and it gives me a list of all my available customizable lists. And they're broken down between contacts, accounts, activities and notes, opportunities and seminars. But under contacts, I can click on statuses here, and it's going to show me the list of statuses I have on the left-hand side. So if I want to add to this list, all I have to do is choose the Add button right up here, and I can type in whatever I want to add to my contact status list. Same thing goes for contact categories, and even anything under this list, I can choose and add whatever I need. Now, the admin access is controlled when you create a Redtail user. So to go create a Redtail user, we're going to go back to our name in the top right-hand corner and choose Manage Your Account. Now that we've selected this, we can go back down to the bottom, and we'll see that we have admins only again. And now the third option here is going to be Manage Database Users and Teams. Once I select that, I have the ability to add users on the right-hand side. I can either choose a new user or an existing user. If I select new user, I am creating a brand new username for the database that I'm logged into. So what you'll want to do is create a unique username. And so unique means if it's already used by another Redtail user, it cannot be used for your database because everything's web-based. It has to be unique. You can also choose what the password's going to be, their email address. This is where they'll get the notifications of all those emails that I was showing. and then the first last name, and this last box right here determines whether or not they're an admin. And so by checking this box, it'll give them access to the admins only section under manage your account. If you don't want them to be able to change users or change lists, things that admins can do, you can leave this box unchecked and then just add the user with the green button on the right hand side. If I go back to the add button from here and I choose existing user, this is going to give me the ability to put in a username that was created on a different database so they can have access to the database I'm currently in. So if you are managing 2 different Redtail databases, you can create one username and give them access to both databases. Another thing you can do is actually manage the current users and also the disabled users. So if I need to disable a user, I can go to the action button to the left-hand side and either choose to disable them. I can also unlock, change their passwords, and I can edit their basic information and certain rights that they have. But if I disable them, it's actually not going to delete the user because we still want history of everything that they've done in the database. But if I disable them, it'll put them over on the disabled list over here to the right-hand side. And so, for instance, if I have a summer intern and I create a username for them and they come back every summer, I can re-enable them by going to the left navigation or the left icon and then choosing enable user again. So you don't have to delete a user every single time. You can just disable them, then re-enable them once you want to bring them back. Now, on the left-hand side, I'm going to click on my left navigation menu and choose calendar. Once I click on the calendar, it's going to show me the calendar based on the actual information that I chose in my preferences. So it's defaulting to my month view. I can click week or day, so I can change those defaults based on what I want here. Then up at the top, I can either choose actions, and I can show client birthdays, I can hide them. This is where you can override those defaults in your preferences. You can also view multiple calendars on top of each other. So right now I'm looking at myself and Tabitha all at the same time. I can even select all if I want by selecting all up here. I do want to point out that if you deselect everybody, even yourself, it's still going to say all users. And so if you don't select anything, it's going to show you everything. Same thing goes for all types and all categories. Those are going to be specific items you can choose when you create an activity. Easiest way to create an activity from this page is click exactly the date and time that you want to create that activity. So if you want to create something for tomorrow at 11 a.m., I can click right there at tomorrow at 11 a.m. and it'll pop up so I can create the subject, and you'll see my start date and my start time is tomorrow at 11. This is where I can also choose the type and the category for my activity. These are used for actual reporting purposes later on. And again, these are customizable lists that you get to control to see exactly what you want in those dropdowns. Other things we want to be able to add is like a contact. So to be able to add a contact, we're going to go to the quick add icon in the top right hand corner, and then we're going to choose contacts. Once I choose a contact, it's going to ask me what type of contact do I want to create. So this is the highest level of segmentation in the Redtail database. We either have individual, business, association, trust, or union. I'm going to go ahead and show you the individual, so we're going to click on that, and then it'll take me to the individual page. And this is where I can create the brand new contact record for the CRM to add them into the database. So you'll want to choose their first name, their last name. You can give them a nickname and also a job title and connect them to an employer. One big thing about the employer section is it does link to other contact records. If I put an employer in here, it will create a business type record for that employer. So if I search for Redtail, you'll see that Redtail technology already exists. So instead of typing it in again, I want to select the ones from the dropdown. This will be preventing duplicates from being created. I always want to make sure that I'm not adding a second employer if they already exist. Below that is we have the spouse information, and this also will create a second contact record. So the head of household is the new individual, and the spouse will be linked to them through the family section. Below that, we have the address information, phone, email, and URLs that you want to add. So any of the contact information that you have for the contact, you can put in right here. One big thing I do want to mention is that when you add an address or any type of communication, you want to choose a type, so the home, and then choose if it's going to be primary or not. So the primary exists on addresses, phones, emails, to be able to use for other purposes. So for export information, it'll export primary addresses and phone numbers. For sending out broadcast emails in bulk, it'll send it to the primary email address. So because one person can have multiple types of contact method, you always want to make sure to choose a primary for each one of those. Below that is we have the contact details. And this is where you're going to set up the status and the category and other basic information about the contact. So if I'm adding in a brand new active client, I'm going to choose the status of active, and we'll choose the category of AAA. You can even add in things like gender, their tax ID, date of birth, whether or not you want their date of birth reminder enabled. And also you'll see their source, referred by, and servicing and writing advisor. The last thing on this contact page is permissions. Now, permissions from this section can be added to a team. What this means is if I don't change the permissions and it stays everyone, it means every single Redtail user in this database, so who has access to this database, will see this contact record. If I only want certain users in this database to see this contact record, I can choose selected team and then choose a team of users that I want to be able to see. So if only the client service team should be able to see this contact record, I will choose selected team, client service team. If I don't want to set up permissions, I'm just going to keep this at everyone and then hit save contact. Once you hit the save contact button, it'll take you directly to the contact, but I'm going to use the recently viewed up here in the top right, and then choose go back to Henry Jones. And then from here, you'll see the main contact record. So up at the top, we have their name. We see that they're a history teacher at Marshall High School, and we see that they're married to Marion Ravenwood. So it actually connects those two contacts together. I can click on Marion Ravenwood and it takes me directly to her contact record. So again, even if you work with people as a household, everyone is still an individual and has their own contact card. So I'm going to go back to Henry Jones by clicking on his name from here. And on the right-hand side, you're going to see a few more icons. So if I want to edit the basic information, I can click the silhouette with the pencil and change any of the information here. Next to that is I have the contact card. So this is all the forms of communication that I have for this particular client. Now, even though the contact card shows right here on the main page, these icons are always going to show at the top. So if I'm looking down over here and I'm looking at their driver's license number under the miscellaneous client info, if I don't want to scroll back up, I can just click on the contact card and reach out to them without having to scroll around or go to another page for this contact. Below the contact card, on the right-hand side still, is we have the contact details, and this shows you the same information of who this contact is to us. So they're an active AAA client. I see they came from a website lead and referred by Marcus Brody. I also can see their tax ID information, their date of birth, and then their servicing advisor information. To the left of these boxes, you'll see their activities and also their latest notes. So the past due next 30 shows me the individual activities that are assigned to this contact record. So these are items on the calendar that are linked directly to Henry Jones. Whereas my latest notes is every interaction that I've had with this contact, I've made a note. I can always hit the add note button to the right hand side here, or again, I can always use the quick add icon in the top right. Choose quick add and then click on notes. Then I have the ability to type in my note that's specifically for Henry Jones, and I can even categorize that note from here for reporting purposes later on. Below these items, where I showed earlier where the driver's license information was, so it starts right now with miscellaneous client info, but I can also go to the important information. Important information is a free-form text box of things I need to know about the contact before I reach out to them. So I can easily see that Henry hates snakes. So if we happen to have a snake in the office and he doesn't like it, maybe I can put some sort of cover over the snake. Different things like that. I also want to point out that if information is in the important information section, the circle up here to the top right is going to show in red. If there's nothing in this box, this is going to show just as an outline. So I'm going to know whether or not there's information in that box that I can easily change, as well by hitting edit over to the right hand side. And so again, it's free form text and you can put whatever you need in this box. Next to that, we also have financial section. So you can put a strategic allocation model, estimated tax information and net worth, and also the banking information as well. We also have a section called UDFs, which is user-defined fields. This is another list that you can actually go in and customize in the Manage Your Account section for different fields that don't exist in Redtail. So if there's something in Redtail or that doesn't exist and you want to report on it, you can create a user-defined field and add it to the contact record. So things like cookie preference. I can see that Henry likes snickerdoodles. He also likes Coke, and he likes whiskey as his favorite adult beverage. These are all fields that we have not created in Redtail, but are available, and you can create whatever you want for a user-defined field. Also, we have our keywords and tag groups from here. And the keywords are going to be individual tagged items, so like a keyword. So for instance, I can have him marked as a life insurance client, and this gives me the ability to pull up anybody who has a keyword of life insurance on their contact record. So if I do want to pull up big groups of contacts based on the information in their database, I can go to the left-hand side and click on Contacts. And then from here on the top, I want to click on Advanced Search. Once I click the Advanced Search section, I can choose Type, Field, Operand, and Value. So the easiest search that I want to show you is finding a search of a status and category. So those are actually fields that are under the type of contact. So I'll choose Type, Contact. The field is going to be Status, and this is alphabetical order. And then I can choose the operand of equal to an active client. To the right-hand side, I can then choose and narrow down my search. I'm going to start with type again and narrow down to now the type of contact in the field of category, and then equal to AAA. If I run this search, it'll show me all of the contact records in my database who meet this criteria. Now, earlier I talked about quick lists and where those are accessed through the recently viewed icon. If I want to create a quick list, I first create a search and then I hit save. And then I get to name it. So I can call this AAA active clients. And we'll put a little exclamation mark as well. You can name it whatever you want, and I'm going to hit save. Once that is saved and I want to run that list, I don't have to actually go through all these drop downs again. I just go to the recently viewed icon in the top right hand corner, click on quick lists, and then I choose AAA active clients. And it's going to rerun that search for me. Huge benefit to creating quick lists is this is a dynamic list. So let's say, for instance, that John Arnold right here no longer is a AAA client and we change his category to AA. The next time I run this quick list, he will no longer appear on this list. So it is not saving the 70 contact records here, it is saving the search parameters up here. And so it's always going to be an updated list based on my data. Every time it's updating, gives me the correct information. All right, last thing I do want to point out again is our help desk. So we have a lot of information on our website. I did show it earlier, but if you go to the question mark in the top right-hand corner and then choose Redtail Help Desk, it'll take you back to this page. And if you want to find any information easily about Redtail, what I suggest first is clicking on this box right here that has the dog and says Project Tailwag. What this means is it's taking me to the information about the most current version of the CRM. And then I can use the search box right up here. So if I want to learn about things like broadcast email, I can type in broadcast email and it'll run my search for me. So right here, how do I send broadcast emails from within Redtail? I can then click on that and it shows me step-by-step instructions on how to do that action inside the CRM. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any questions, feel free and call our support team at 1-800-206-5030, or you can always send an email to support@redtailtechnology.com. Thank you so much and have a great day.